Armada Book 1 Chapter 8 The Reception Part 2. I am glad that we did good for your people. Yes, we will not dismantle the TPs, in fact we'll put more heavy-duty ones so we can transport more goods and people. Olive, make sure it happens ASAP. That would be most welcome. Olive appeared. Yes Andrew, the Max will take care of it. Vicky wants you to invite GTK to the wedding. See GTK, my wife knows already about the gift and so now you're invited. I have 5 ectonos with me. You can all come. Olive, can you have them meet the president? Roden, Ambassador Gilkin and General Cook are meeting with the president. They will be finished in half an hour. That's okay, we will wait in our ships and when we have regained our strength go to meet your leader. Sir, I have now contacted General Lakova and he will be here in 5. We can just bring him to the president so you can take care of your big day, sir. That's so nice of you, Colonel Bourne. GTK, please excuse me, I have a lot of people to talk to for tomorrow. I understand, and wish you well. Thank you, sir. Don't sir me, call me Andrew. And thanks again for the gift. Olive, let's go back to the house and bring the gift. Back at the house. Tammy walked into the living room all dressed up just in time for her boyfriend Jerry to pull up the driveway. Where did these box of gems come from, Andrew? Tammy asked. From an ectono named GTK, he said it was a gift from their king. You'll see GTK in the wedding. I will just be checking everything and every guest again to make sure they're ready for tomorrow. Vicky said. How many guests are there? Andrew asked. My invites only reached 580, with all the others may top at 8,600 guests, Vicky said. That's a lot of guests. I believe I only have 24. I will go check on my guests with Olive. If you think about it, there are humans, Max, Inkies and the other alien species you mentioned a while ago, then there are all your Armada people, the politicos and foreign leaders and military. Roden's entourage alone is 800 and the president's is almost the same. Vicky said. So much for a romantic wedding. Olive and I have to go. I'll see you tonight then. She kissed him and Olive beamed themselves away. He did not invite any relative, Mom? He's an orphan, his adopted parents were killed in a car crash 5 years ago. So we're pretty much it. We have a lot of people to talk to today and we have to go. She kissed her mom, then grabbed her bag and she was gone. The big day came and the house was full of people. Tammy was directing traffic for the Max, helping with the flowers, the decor and furniture with Maria for the party place. Olive was continuously reporting Ellie's progress with the Max, handling the cameras, food, wines and with the Inkies for the sound and entertainment. Allison, Vicky's best friend, finished decorating and literally locking down all the doors and access to the cathedral. She was now busy coordinating the entourage. Part of her problem is that nobody outside the ceremony must know who are in the ceremony. She had a company of Andrew's Marines in uniform all cloaked outside the church to make sure nobody gets in. The Secret Service and Inky security were already inside the church, also cloaked. All the guests were told to go to an Air Force facility and from there were beamed to the church, except for those with TP access. Vicky's mom and dad were just sitting outside Vicky's house quietly talking. Andrew was on his ship already dressed up in white tuxedo and waiting. He was sitting in the mess hall with a glass of brandy with Roden, who was dressed up in a colorful Inky uniform. Roger, Timmy, Gadden, Tony and Eric were also dressed up in their tuxedos, all having a drink and small talk. Oh, Albert agreed to the armistice but at his level only. That's fine, at least we have one. We're doing it anyway. Roger commented. Right, and what we need is to expand trade. Tony added. We were planning to put hopping points all the way up to the Treadle Galaxy. Andrew said out of the blue. Why stop there, let's put several hopping points up to the Mac galaxies. Gadden said. Right, and we should make them all one-way long-range industrial type of TPs. Roden said. Absolutely, this is going to be big. Andrew said. Olive appeared. Andrew, 5 minutes. It's the same feeling I have at the start of a mission where the possibility of not coming back is very high. I completely understand you, boss. Eric countered, I don't. Me too, I don't. Roden said. In a few minutes they were beamed near the altar. Then they saw Vicky and her party beamed at the back of the church. The president and his party were beamed in. Then Ambassador Gilkin and his party. Allison was now busy arranging the entourage. Then some of the guests started beaming in and they were told to take their seats. Allison, the cathedral is so pretty. Vicky said. Thanks, Vic. Then the music started and they started to walk the aisle, first the sponsors, then the kids, then Vicky's sister Diane, then Vicky between her mom and dad. Her dress was all white with small but extremely thin diamond inlaid on the dress in leaf patterns, floating as she moved, and sequences made of very thin diamond discs in the front and sleeves areas. She literally glittered in the afternoon light like a walking diamond fluttery figure. The blue accent and trims made it even more spectacular. The wedding was over in an hour. As soon as they faced the congregation, all the cloaked people appeared and they almost filled the church. They were all standing and clapping their hands. It took 30 minutes more for the standard pictures. Just enough time to beam everybody out into the party place. The last Olive beamed was the bride and groom. They made a short entrance after being announced by Olive. They walked to the main table but greeted the guests along the way. Allison continued her role as wedding host as she stood near a podium. The food was a mix of Earth, Inky, and Mac spread out in 24 long buffet tables along the cross-section of the party place. The guests were seated around round decorated tables. The main entourage was on a presidential table at one end of the party place. Andrew and Vicky made the rounds and saw old familiar faces. Then they saw Dr. Davis and Dr. Town dressed up like the servers. "What are you two doing dressed up like servers?" Olive said this was our only way to get into your wedding. We got bumped off because of the French politicians. Gina said. Vicky laughed, okay then serve doctors. Andrew and Vicky were seated at the middle of the head table with Roden on his left and the president on Vicky's right. Olive appeared at the back of Andrew and whispered, "There's a ship parked 4 ly away, just outside our solar system and they seem to be just sitting there, looks like a Marindy ship. Tell Tony to get 3 ships in that area. When you see the intruding ships start to move, tell him to take GX2 and GX3. Remember, do not engage. You do the usual infiltration and hacking operations so we would know. Have Tony take 3 of my ships also so my people can see." Roden said. "Okay Olive, have Tony take 3 more ships to the area." Roden, "Do you think your men are up to infiltrating a ship? They were trained by the best." Roden said. "Okay, just the same, tell Tony to use the best Macs, Marines and Inkies for the job. No firing and killing, okay?" "Yes Andrew," Olive said. After an hour or so, right after dinner, Andrew could see Tony get up and take GX2 and GX3 with him. "Are we secure here Andrew?" Vicky asked. "We are between 3 of the most powerful people in the universe Mrs. Mann, look at all these ships around us." "I thought all of them are drinking right now," Vicky said. "Not all, we still have people on standby for anything such as this," Andrew said. "Okay, so let's start going through the ceremonies," Vicky said. Allison was quick and the ceremonies came fast. Then the president made a speech, then Roden, then Ambassador Gilkin, then Vicky. The universe has really started to unfold before us all. 6 months ago I was feeling lonely and bored taking comfort in my job, then my dad gave me this ring and he told me I would know when the time comes. It was a very specific ring with a diamond center surrounded by 8 green peridot gems which should mean something to somebody, except I don't know that something and somebody. Then she told everyone the story of the ring. When I saw Andrew after so many years, I knew then why my dad gave me this ring. So the next day, in a restaurant in Pasadena I proposed to Andrew and asked him if he would marry me. Everybody laughed. Vicky continued, "I believe that if I leave it up to him he would never do it." Then Andrew insisted that he should be the one doing the proposing and right there I gave him the ring and told him to propose right there, under my watch to make sure he does. He did and I accepted. In less than 15 minutes I was at the White House being congratulated by everybody and in a few minutes more got the same message from Roden and the Mac Council. Whirlwind is too slow to describe this romance. As Ellie said quite correctly, love will always find a way. Time and space cannot hold it back. The audience was quiet now. Vicky continued, "Just imagine 6 months ago also about that time Andrew was in the Treadle Galaxy 3 BLY from Earth. And now we're together. History has put a lot of meaning into peridot gems. That night I looked at Andrew's eyes and asked him what the gems meant and he said simply, 'I'm looking at them.'" She looked at Andrew and sat down. Andrew stood up and when she realized she would live another 500 or more years she made a deal already about opt-out options. The crowd laughed. Andrew continued, "I would like to spend my whole 600 or so remaining years with you. To bear dozens of kids." The crowd laughed again when Vicky suddenly stood up. "Okay, just 1 or maybe 2. One thing I learned in my short stint around the galaxies and Roden and the Max taught me this, we should always treat our neighbors as we take care of our family. I was an orphan so it is something close to my heart. We should treat each other as precious as our friends. In the face of war and killing, we should avoid doing so if we can help it. To avoid killing or the loss of life because they are as precious as our own and our loved ones. In this party we have humans, Inkies, Macs and some Ectonos. The universe is full of unbelievably different beings. We should treat them as our own and demand that they treat us as the same way. Then we can coexist and try to find our happiness together. I am a very happy man tonight and I never imagined this night was even possible. So Vicky, equality is the key and I hope you will grant me this so we can find happiness together. The crowd laughed. Andrew continued, Olive and the crew came out with 15 videos about me and Vicky. I have not seen them all except one with us in high school. Our faces then show no inkling that we will be here in this place married with you as guests. But we were happy then. We are happier now. Olive, please. The whole wall of half of the place became a giant screen from the transparent ceiling top to the floor. The movie was moving around showing Andrew and Vicky from when they were small until they had their careers. From the ship's view, they can also see the movie and they can see it in their monitors as well. While all of this was happening, Olive updated Andrew and Roden about the Marinti ship. It seems the ship has only 2 Macs, brothers who are also scientists. Ezra telepathically communicated with them and when she touched them they revealed their story. It seems that their Mac world was invaded by the Marintis 200 years ago and since they have not been integrated with the collective their society was largely medieval level when they got invaded. Now as part of a plan to get help from outside their world, the two pretended to be collaborator scientists. They were treated as slaves and only collaborators are treated well. But there were very few collaborators except for the brothers who risked everything to be in the ship. Flying in the solar system they heard Mac thoughts but could not see anything in their sensors. The ship commander could not see what they pretended to be space anomalies either but they tried to delay as much as possible. Then we came in. In the end they left and Tony followed them. They planted recording devices and hacked into their systems so we have their data. They plan to go to the Marinti world to pay homage to their emperor. How many Mac slaves in their world? More than 8 million, Roden. That's a lot. Tell Tony to deploy Ellie's round probes before he leaves the Marinti home world. The Inkeys did most of the job on this ship and they plan on doing the same with the other ships once they find them. They seem to be getting the hang of it but not as addicted as the Macs are to this kind of work. That's too risky. Tell them to avoid the risky targets and risky maneuvers. But tell Tony we need the intel. Tell the Mac hackers to get in and get out, quick in and out, that's it. Vicky held Andrew's hand and said, look at your face in high school, you look so stupid. That's a happy stupid face, Vicky. What I felt then is the same as when you touched my hand right now. So you can call my face stupid anytime and it would still be happy. They sat there quietly and watched the last movie fade out. Then the walls projected as if they were underwater. The guests clapped their hands. Okay, Mr. Romantic, let's go around. They went around to each table and group and had their pictures and videos taken. Shaking hands and hugging. When they're done, they started to dance and the crowd followed, some by dancing with Vicky and the others dancing with Andrew. Then the crowd filled into the dance floor. Andrew saw Timmy and Elaine. Hey Tim, I just got an order from Roden for 50,000 ship-based plasma cannon, 20,000 ground-based and 2 million small arms in exchange for 10 ships. Roden butted in, correction, 10 ships and as payment for the Starship factory. See Andrew, you missed that small detail. If Roden wasn't honest he'd say we have to pay for the factory. Timmy said. See, that's why we only deal with friends. When can we deliver? We started production 2 months ago, and we are getting the hang of it. Our stocks now stands at 500,000 small arms and 35,000 ship-based cannons. See Roden, get your ships over at Timmy's so he can outfit your ships with the cannons. You can take all our small arms. I'd say to install our existing stocks will take 2 weeks. Have your other ships wait for another 3 and they would be good to go. I only need to speed up the small arms volume. You know the Germans have started to produce the weapons and so did the Japanese in their planets. Maybe we can borrow from them. I'm sure they have some stocks. This way we can have Roden on his merry way quicker. That's good to know. You must know that some of those ship-based cannons are for my other 1,200 or so ships. And we are building newer ones at about 100 per month. You'd be looking at some small volume every month. You know Andrew, the incident and hero thing made my people realize the importance of intergalactic security and power, so we now put our heads together with the Macs and developed newer and better ships. Your plasma is just perfect and we prefer to get them from you. See, we're getting someplace already.